Capital as a partner by the PIC in a transaction to buy BEE shareholdings in Total South Africa. Mseleku says this is false and defamatory. Let's get more on this story now, and SABC's Glorious Sipho joins us live now from the capital. Glorious, thank you very much indeed for your time. Let's just get some of the biggest takeaways from Mseleku's testimony yesterday.
Yes, good morning, Blaine, and good morning to our viewers. Well, Sipho Mseleku took the stand yesterday, basically countering what Lawrence Mulaudzi said a few weeks ago. When Mulaudzi came to the commission, he told of events in their acquisition of the Total SA shares, BEE shares, where he said that they had gone through the different processes, due diligence, trying to get these shares. And now at the 11th hour, what happened, he said, was he found out that there was another party that was interested also in this transaction, and that the PIC had also shown interest in funding them. And he said he was a little confused. He asked for a meeting with the former CEO of the PIC, Dr. Dan Machila. Then at the meeting, he said he was told that yes, there is another party that is interested, and they had to talk and form a consortium if they are to get this deal through. But the partner now, at the end of the day, what happened is a consortium was formed called Kisako, which is Kilimanjaro, his Mulaudzi's company, and Sakhumnotho. Now it's called Kisako Consortium, now bid for the shares, and they did win, and they were funded by the PIC. But with Mseleku's testimony, he sort of goes against the entire version that Mulaudzi put through, saying that Mulaudzi was lying under oath, he doesn't understand, and he's shocked as to how he can say this was imposed on them, saying that this was a decision that they came to together with the concerns that there could only be one winner in this transaction. So they said together they joined forces, so that at least they increase their chances of actually getting the bid. Mseleku said that his company, Sakhumnotho, had also gone through the processes and also had a meeting with Machila at the PIC. He said that at that meeting, he was told that the PIC would not be entertaining the different bidders, but would rather wait for this process to end, and there's one preferred bidder, and then they will engage that company in terms of funding. But he said that on that same day, Machila was supposed to meet with Mulaudzi at their offices, and he said that after his meeting with Machila, he followed Machila into the meeting with Mulaudzi, and he got to be introduced to Mulaudzi as the competitor in this bid for the shares at Total SA. And he said that as much as this was unbecoming of walking into someone's meeting after he had no business being in that meeting, but he did follow Machila into that meeting. He says that he then introduced himself to Mulaudzi, and he said after Machila introduced them, he left the room, and they started talking now about this transaction. And he said as businessmen, they decided it's better for them to join forces so that they stood a better chance at winning this deal. So he said he actually accused this partner Mulaudzi as to in terms of, he said he lied under oath. He said he was shocked. He said his allegations were unfounded and defamatory. He said he didn't understand. He also addressed the issue of due diligence. In his testimony, Mulaudzi had mentioned that they had gone through what he called a grueling process of due diligence, but he didn't. He said he asked Machila that if Sakhumnotho had also gone through the same process, and he said Machila was not forthcoming with the answers in this regard. But when Mseleku now said that they went through what he called a confirmatory due diligence, saying the issues like your just confirming that the directors are still the same, the address is still the same, that the company still exists, saying that they were not new in the space, they had been clients of the PIC for a long time, saying that Kilimanjaro could have gone through the process because they were a new kid on the block. They didn't have much of a track record. Yes. But in this deal, he said that they went through what he called a confirmatory due diligence. He also addressed the issue of the 100 million rand transaction costs. That was also part of the capital that was issued by the PIC for this deal, saying it looked like it's a bit high compared to other transactions. But he said, yes, it is a bit high because the two companies had started, each company had started its own processes. Yep. And had advisors to the transaction, and they had to pay those bills for the transaction. So what happened is when they merged, they now each had their own bills to pay, and then now they negotiated with the PIC to include this in the amount that they were issuing. The 1.7 billion, there was an extra 100 million that was on top of that to cover the transaction costs. Blaine?
So the Commission also heard from Sandile Sibiya, the PIC's former Human Resource Finance Officer. What came out of his testimony?
Sibiya's testimony is one of those really a classic case of the kind of issues that we hear from mostly the former employees of the PIC. He said he kind of fell out of favor with the CFO. He said he started questioning the issue of bonuses has been a contentious issue at the PIC. So he said with his questioning of the decisions that were taken, he was sort of moved from HR to finance. He said he was not given any role in like he went to work for like 22 months with nothing to do. He, instead of sitting with the finance people that he was supposed to work with, he was told to work in a small boardroom that was not occupied. So he sat there for like 22 months, that's close to 2 years, doing absolutely nothing until he decided to resign. He said that at some point the CFO had instructed him to change an employee scorecard, which would have implications on the bonuses. But he was told that this is a secret. The employee was not supposed to know. The manager that where this employee reported to was not supposed to know. He was just supposed to now change that. He said this came out obviously, and he was charged with disclosing confidential information to an employee. So his testimony, he left the PIC, but he's still fighting to get his job back. Today the Commission will resume now at about 10 o'clock. We expect Malik Sali to take the stand. He was the chief investment officer of Iotechnology. That Dr. Iqbal Save, yes, one of his companies, the controversial company that we've heard a lot about in this commission. We've heard that the PIC invested about 4.3 billion rand at the end of 2017. We've heard how processes were flouted. We've seen a lot of employees from the PIC taking for the fall for this. We've seen the likes of the Victor Siani that was suspended. We've heard a lot about the company, how controversial this company has been in terms of, we've heard about the massaging of financial reports. We've heard about how the 4.3 billion that was invested in Iotechnology when it listed in 2017, how that money was transferred to the different companies within the Sekunjalo group, where there was an instruction without following proper procedures. The CFO was instructed transfer this amount of money to this account, and then those kind of issues. So we can expect Malik Sali now to come and testify regarding that. We understand that he resigned from Iotechnology as the executive director last week, but he continues to be an employee of the company. So we'll hear more about those issues when the commission resumes at 10 o'clock.
Good job in trying to keep up with the finer details of this inquiry, Glorious. We do appreciate you breaking it down here on the agenda. Glorious Sakhumnotho in Pretoria. Okay.